Hello and welcome to this special edition of the EMS On Air podcast. I'm Jeff Lassers and I'll be your host. This special edition is brought to you by Matt Sahr, who is running for president of the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union for the 2022 to 2024 term. The upcoming election will be held at the annual MPFFU convention in March 2022. And bottom line, Matt is here to describe why he's the best candidate for president. During this brief episode, Matt will describe his contributions to the MPFFU during his career and discuss his top 3 priorities for the next 2 years. Finally, Matt's wife Jenna is also here to lend her perspective as a spouse of an MPFFU member. This was a great conversation and I really enjoyed getting to know Matt and Jenna. You can contact Matt by email at vpiaff1737@gmail.com, which is also listed in the episode description. Enjoy the show. Matt, I'm really glad to do this. Why don't you kick us off and tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
My name is Matt Sahr. I'm here with my wife, Jenna. Been married for the last going on 10 years, and we have 2 children. We live here in Macomb Township, Michigan. I'm currently the 6th District Vice President for the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union. That covers all of Oakland and Macomb and a small part of Wayne County. Been in the fire service for almost 20 years now, since 2003. I'm also an IFF service rep to help organize and assist locals here in southeastern Michigan.
So Matt, let's get right after it. What have you done for the MPFFU during your career?
Well, at the very beginning of my career, I was always involved from day one. I had a lot of good mentors when I started, and they got me involved with our state union almost immediately when I came on the job. Part of that was that I was somewhat designated to a guy by the name of Danny Delgado, who was a mentor to me and kind of a legend here in southeastern Michigan's labor movement. I was his chauffeur, if you want to say, for my first 2 years. And I ended up just going all over with Danny, took a liking to a lot of his stories, and him and I developed a friendship, and it just kind of blossomed from there. 14 years ago, I was appointed to the MPFFU Political Education Committee. 10 years ago, I became the chair prior to becoming the district vice president.
Well, thank you for your years of service to the MPFFU. I've been a card-carrying member since 2004, and I have not done nearly what you've done for the Michigan Professional Firefighters Union, so I tip my cap to you, and I appreciate your time. So as somebody who has a lot more time invested into understanding and supporting the union in a more executive manner, in your words, what is the mission of the IFF and the Michigan Professional Firefighter Union?
We all would agree that the main principle for the IFF and the MPFFU to advance our trade is through wages, hours, and working conditions. But how we do that at the local level is by accountability. We hold our elected officials accountable, in my opinion. And how you do that is you show up to the meetings, you ask questions, and you get involved yourself just as a local member. For the member that doesn't pay a lot of attention, the main goal for the MPFFU is we have to get to political action in Lansing. Being the political education chair has allowed me to see a lot of things, good and bad. We've had some really bad times, but we've also had some wins in the recent past. So a lot of us ask, what does the MPFFU do actually? Well, what we do is we're a spoke in the wheel of the IFF. Without the MPFFU, the IFF really can't get their information down to their members. And without the MPFFU, our work as labor organizers and passing laws like Public Act 312, where we can have the ability to bargain, it goes hand in hand. They work together. And so we will always fight to preserve the laws that help us. A lot of it is through political education. The latest thing right now that I see is that we have a recruitment and retention issue. And we see things going on where law enforcement is getting money. I've heard from our own members saying, well, where's our money? Well, now for us, time to go on the offensive. How we do that, I'll talk about in a little bit.
Well, that brings us right to what you do about things. In your opinion, what are the top 3 priorities of the MPFFU over the next 2 years?
Our top 3 priorities over the next 2 years have to be our recruitment and retention. That is number 1. Everybody that you talk to in the fire service right now will tell you that the amount of candidates that we have are just minute compared to what they were a couple decades ago. So we have to make that a priority to us. And how we do that is going to be not only working on our end with our employers and with local community colleges, is going to also be in Lansing. We have to let them know that we need some rules changed. How we do that, that's a plan that we've been working on already. But first and foremost, that's going to be up to the executive board to push that at the executive level. We have to get in and we have to tell them that the paramedic program that we all came up with when we went to National Registry, well, that's pretty tough right now. Maybe we could add back in our Michigan license so we could go back to having academies and get through this quicker. Getting firefighter candidates isn't necessarily the problem when we see a lot of our locals struggling to find candidates. Mostly it's the paramedic part that's handed to it. The kids that go through the paramedic school now, they come out, they're very knowledgeable, but it takes an awful long time to get them through, and it's pretty expensive as well. That's first and foremost for me would be the recruitment and retention. Second is revenue sharing. Our revenue sharing fell off during the prior administration. And right now we do have a lot of the money that's coming from the feds, but it would be nice to see revenue sharing come back. Can I promise that we're going to get revenue sharing back? No, absolutely not. I cannot promise that. But that should be a main focus for us. And the third focus for us as a state union has to be doing our due diligence with the things that are near and dear to us. And that would be obviously our social issues, whether it be PTSD or our health issues in cancer presumption. Make no mistake, those things are real and we need to work on those. But we also have a lot of other important things that I just mentioned, like the recruitment and retention and the revenue sharing. If I could add just one more thing too, as a state president, we also have to make sure we're accountable to our members and watching the books, making sure that we're not just frivolously sitting on committees that aren't getting production. So that would also be a goal of mine.
So Matt Sahr, what makes you the best candidate for the Michigan Professional Firefighter Union president for 2022 to 2024?
What makes me the best candidate goes all the way back to when I was just a chauffeur for Dan Delgado. That was like the beginning of my time in this union. I look back and that was the start of it. And it took me all the way up into the local offices, whether I was secretary, treasurer, or president of my local, and then on to the MPFFU's district vice president and IFF service rep. I have been preparing for this over the last 8 years as a state district vice president. I'm educated. I've attended the IFF Political Academy. As many of you know, a lot of the job of the MPFFU president is lobbying at the state legislature. Whether it was fighting off an attempt to make one of our departments PSO here in the 6th, organizing 8 new locals, or getting my education and going into the IFF Political Training Academy, or the multiple PEPs, or the alt classes that I've attended through the IFF. I've followed through on all of those, and I've been consistent throughout my career as an IFF and MPFFU leader. Probably one of the better points of it is the support I get from home with my wife. I have kids and I have a wife, like I said, that I've been married to for the last almost 10 years. You know, I couldn't do it without them. It makes it real easy when you have that at home.
You said the most important thing was getting support from your wife, Jenna. So Jenna, please tell us why your husband, Matt, is the best candidate for the Michigan Professional Firefighter Union president position for 2022 to 2024.
I think that Matt is the best candidate because of his passion for the fire service. As Matt said, we've been together for over a decade. And throughout that whole time together, all I've ever known is Matt being involved in the union, whether it be from the local level to the state level to the international level. Our kids have always been involved with the union work as well, whether it be making Public Act 312 posters in our living room, to walking in Labor Day parades since they were in strollers, to most recently carrying the MPFFU flag through the streets of Detroit. Matt has also been really involved in teaching our kids fire safety at their school for the last probably 6 years, probably longer than that. So it's really just all we ever know of him. And we are really proud of him. And he puts 100% into everything that he does for the fire service. Family will always come first, but that doesn't mean that the union lacks any of his time. We're blessed to have a really good support system around us that helps us with any kind of scheduling conflicts that might come up. But Matt always makes sure that family comes first, and we appreciate that from him.
Well, you're both very lucky to have each other and have each other's support like that. And I do have one more question for you, Jenna. As a spouse of an IFF member, we don't always get your guys' opinions on the union stuff. And here's my question. From your perspective in a household that is represented by the MPFFU and the IFF, why is it important for guys like me to get involved to protect my family?
I think that a lot of people don't realize how much the union actually does for you. whether it be your wages and how much you're going to be bringing home to your family to help support them, whether it be your benefits in retirement that's going to help set up your future. I really don't think that a lot of new members that are joining the union understand the bigger picture. And Matt's really good about seeing the bigger picture for everyone and for the future of firefighters, not just what's going to affect him right now. So I think that that's really important.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you guys for your time today, and I hope that it benefits your candidacy for President of Michigan Professional Firefighter Union President. You know you have my support, sir.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this special edition of the EMS On Air podcast brought to you by Matt Sahr. You can contact Matt by email at vpiaff1737@gmail.com, which is also listed in the episode description. Please support the EMS On Air podcast by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. Also follow us on Instagram at EMS On Air and check out our website, emsonair.com, for the latest information, podcast episodes, and other details. Thank you for listening to this special edition of the EMS On Air podcast. Stay safe and have a great day.